the story of Alpha and Omega search for the Elder. The Elder, Baba Shan, was deciding on picking an a person to take over him, to access him, to take over him when he passed into the next land, into the next life. And everyone in the village came around, and they sat around there because they knew Baba Shana was getting old, and so they sat around there waiting for at least 20 days while he prayed and on himself and searching in himself to see which one in the village will obviously succeed him. That's the word, succeed him. So in the village there was two different tribes. In the village there was the Alpha and the Omega. Alpha and Omega was the Alpha was the female, and the Omega was the men. Now they grew up differently in terms of what they were learning and stuff they're learning, to take over, obviously, to learn about agriculture, village, and it's not necessarily in any part of Africa or any part of the West. But what we're saying is that in their village, they learned certain things. The Omega, they learned certain things on that side, and obviously when it was time for them to be union, they'd be married. Different. Now, how the Omega work, Alpha and Omega, is their last name was Alpha and Omega, and their first name was like Nana Omega or Joffrey Alpha. Either way, the names is always the Alpha and Omega was their surname. Now, whoever became the leader of the tribe was the Alpha and Omega, or the Baba Ashante. Whoever the Ashante was mainly the leader of the tribe. So basically, he was there praying, fasting to see which person would be obviously take over his position. So in the 20 days after the 20 days was up, he came out of the tent which he was staying in, or should I say the hut he was staying in, and decided to take a walk, while everyone in the village still waited around to see who they feel was going to take his place, because the elder was getting old. So the elder decided to walk around the village, and he decided to to clear his head, he'd walk on the beach. While he was walking on the beach, a boat wasn't far down, so it's deep left. And this is set basically in probably around the 1600s. So he's walking on the beach, and he saw a boat there. But he's clearing his head to see which people were there. And while he was there, from the boat, a yacht was coming towards him. And obviously, Baba Shante was looking, and usually you don't see really guests coming to that part of where they are. So it was interesting. He was looking. For one reason or another, he must look right, look left. Next thing you know, there was people surrounding him, and the people around him, they took him on the boat, on the yacht, should I say little boat, and took him onto the ship, and they took him away. And basically, this is where the story ends. Now, you remember, you have the people, Alpha and Omega, the tribe, the male and the female in the village, waiting for him. So he's been took on the boat, and he's going towards the Americas, where they're taking him. You can imagine why. Probably looking to enslave him, or whatever reason they're gonna do to him. They've took him. So one of the people come off the younger boat. They advanced into where the village is. So as they advanced into the village, the Alpha and Omega tribe looked, and who's this stranger? And where's Baba Ashante? Where is he? And obviously they're talking amongst each other, because obviously he hasn't named an successor yet, someone to take over his place. So they quickly realised the way these people walking looking at them, that something's happened. So they took the guy, they surrounded the guy, And when they surrounded them, yeah, the Alpha and Omega, they have, as they grow up, they have these beads. The beads, yeah, but they've been cultivated from the grass. In these beads, yeah, they have special powers in these beads where will allow them to extract information. It allows them to keep themselves healthy. It allows them to basically, in these beads, they have all the beads of life, all the colors of life on the planet in these beads here, and these beads here will extract the truth. So one of the from the Omega tribe, a male, he takes one of the beads and puts it into the stranger's mouth. The stranger automatically starts speaking the same language as them, and they get him to tell him, yeah, they've took him on a boat and they took him to the Americas. Therefore, right, the Alpha and Omega sit down, and in their groups they decide which male and which female was gonna go and get Baba Ashante and bring him back to the village. And this is where the story, long story, continues. So basically, they choose a male and they choose a female from the Alpha and Omega. Nana from the Alpha, and what's the Kwame from the Omega. Kwame from Alpha. So Kwame and Nana. Is it Kwame and Nana? Yeah, Kwame and Nana. So Alpha and Omega, the last name. So Alpha, Kwame, Omega, Nana Omega. And so these are the two we're gonna bring back Baba Ashante. They're gonna bring them back. So they get the stranger actually took the pill and explained to them in their language. Now as they get ready, yeah, they realize that they're getting into a foreign town, they've never been there. So they arm themselves with the most lethalest poisons ever known to man. As you know, in certain parts of Africa, they have frogs, yeah, and on the back of the frogs, yeah, they usually tip the arrows into the poison on the back of the frogs. Well, basically, in these the beads around their necks and around their bodies and around their wrists, they have, some of these beads have the most deadliest poison, snake poison, obviously from the toad poison, spider poison. They have venoms inside these beads. They have one behind the back of the tongue where if they spit on you, automatically you're blinded and you can't see. They have poisons they put inside their body, inside their genitals, like in their rectum and their balls and in their mouth, just in case, yeah, whoever try to penetrate them, they'll be poisoned instantly. And then they rub like Vaseline all over their skin, that the fact that anyone who was to touch their skin or grab them, with a matter of minutes, yeah, they'll get dizzy, drop down and probably die. Now, and it was also in the pills, yeah, also in the beads, they have antibodies. So even though they have poison around them, just in case they get poisoned themselves, they can take these beads and they can obviously as an antidote to save them. And also they can use some of these beads to, in case they poison the wrong people, to give them, to make them life as well. And in these beads, like I said, they have special powers, even to the point if someone was to shoot them, yeah, that if they take these beads, their wounds would be healed instantly. So in these builds, basically what you're talking about, we've seen the Alpha, Nana, Kwame, you have basically superheroes walking the planet, trying to get back the Baba Ashante, so he can tell them which one will be the leader of their tribe to go for, leader of the tribe to go forwards, and they're in their quest. So they get the young man, they give him one of the beads, and basically he's under the influence, right? Under the influence to take them. So they get on a boat, and they tell him to drive to row to the next boat, which will be carrying people. And these tribe are not aware of people on the continent being took back and forwards to the Americas and to the English Isles. They're not aware of this stuff. So this stuff is new to them. But they do know, they understand, yeah, that they're going into hostile territory and they have to arm themselves. Now, they have their traditional weapons, they have their spear, and they have their shield, and they have they're armed with the beads, and they're armed with obviously the Vaseline stuff with poison in their mouths and in their bodies. So anyone who's trying to penetrate them, like I said, they'll be poisoned. So as they advance now on the boat, they get to a dock where the other guys are at, where the other, you know, the other, should I say, pirates or shipmen are there. And so one of the guys goes, are they yours, or do they belong to you? I'm meaning obviously they're slaves to him or whatever. And they, with one of the pills, they don't really understand what these people are talking about, but they do understand that one of them's under their influence. So they know that they've instructed him to find out where Baba Shante is gone, so they can go and get him. So as they're talking backwards and forwards, they discover that he's gone to the Americas. He's gone to Salem. He's been taken to Salem, and that's where they've been taken. So they get on the ship, and and the ship obviously is going towards Salem from the dock they got on. And while they're on the ship at night time, some of the crew members have seen him, Alpha and Omega, Nani and Kwame, have seen him and find him attractive. And even though they're not shackled with anything like the rest of the people on the ship, right? And then bear in mind, Kwame and Nana, they realize, that obviously the other people from different tribes, but they don't know them and they don't really trust them too well, because obviously they're used to their small environments, and even though they look like them, they're not really trusting of them, and when they're trusting is of each other, and obviously to get Baba Shante back. So the other tribes people are looking at them, they're looking at them on the ship because they're all in the same vicinity. So all of a sudden, some of the crew come down and they ask Nana and Kwame to come with them. And next when they come on them, they go into a room, it's full of men all around them, and some of these men, they haven't seen no women for time, and they just proceed to they rape Nana, and they try to rape Kwame as well. And while they're raping them in their process, like I said to him, they're armed with poison. These men experience the most painful suffering attacks of diseases known to man. As soon as they touching, within minutes, as touching try to penetrate and try to do all the kind of sodomite dirty things they try to do, they all of a sudden they're poisoned. They're poisoned severely. Eyes bleeding out their ears, everything. These crewmen extreme the most devastating death ever. And like I said, these Kwame and Omega Alpha, they're not violent people, but if you to touch them, this is what happened. And at least about 20 of the ship crew at that point, they're suffering and dying. And so obviously they put back on Alpha Omega, they put back on their clothes, and they advance up onto the deck of the ship when the other crew members, what the heck are you doing up here? And they try to grab them. And as I said, you're not supposed to grab them now. You're not supposed to grab them. As soon as they grab them, within 5 minutes, they drop back, they fall back on their backside, looking up in the air, and they're dizzy. They don't know what's happening. It's like almost like they're high, and they're looking up, and they pass out, and they pass out and they die. And the ship at that point has been took over. The captain comes out of his thing, where he's been with one of the native women out there, wondering what's going on, yelling, puts a gun at Nana and shoots her. She falls down to the ground. Kwame gives her one of his beads, puts it on her mouth, and then she springs back up. The captain, as the captain reloads, Kwame grabs the gun, takes it from him, and grabs him, touches him around the neck like Spock, Star Trek. The captain looks at him. Within a couple of minutes, he falls down, looks up, eyes roll back in his head, and he's passed out. He's passed to the next life, or whichever life he's gone to. And the ship is eventually been over. Alpha and Omega, Nana and Kwame, they go back down. They open up the ship. They open up the cages of the ship. Now at this point, all the people on the ship, should I say, their people been taken. They're free from the thing, and now they want to go back home. But Alpha and Omega, obviously, they want to get Baba Shante, so they're still going towards Salem, the ship. And the people are celebrating, but also when they're celebrating, some of these people are celebrating, there's some envy and jealousy, and they don't really appreciate, even though they've been free, they don't really appreciate Alpha Omega as much as they should. So they tried to advance and attack them, and they experienced the same thing. And then the rest of the crew realized, do not mess with them. Do not mess with him. So the people try to mess with him, they fall down and they die. And at that point, everyone quiets down and just lets them do their thing. So the ship is being steered by Nana, who has a scholarship in navigation, in terms of growing the ships. Everything they learn in the village and their villages gives them maps and all these things that they need to do to go around the world. Most of the people, Alpha Omega, they travel the world and walk around the world barefooted. They walk around the world and see things, and they're peaceful people. So, like I said to you, do not touch. Keep your hands to yourself. These beads, and people don't know the power. Their power lies in their beads, and obviously the solutions they rub on their skin. And they're very attractive, the most attractive people you'd ever want to see. But as I said to you, do not touch. If you touch, then you die. The best is, you try and communicate. And then how you communicate, it's up to them if they want to communicate to you. If they want to communicate, they'll give you one of their beads, they'll put it in their mouth, and then you can understand what they're saying. Understand, but you will not be able to talk to them. So all it is they'll be able to talk to you, but you will not be able to. They'll be understand. You can talk to you. You can understand them, but you will never be able to talk their language. So as they navigate the ship down to Salem, it docks. And docks at about 2:30 at midnight. One of the sailors comes down and says, "Where's the ship? Where's the ship captain?" He goes into the ship, looks around, and sees obviously the chains on the cages open where they try to keep the enslaved people. They come. Some of them come out the ship. They grab the guy, and obviously they rough him up a bit. And then they tie him up to the barge, and then they still wait in the ship. They understand now, because what Omega, they gave one of the pills to one of the other guys, one of the other tribesmen, to tell them that we'll be coming back. So you stay here until we come back, and keep the ship busy. Do not leave the ship. Stay in the ship. So Alpha Omega, obviously, they advance there, and they get to the yacht, and they start walking towards where they think where Bobby Ashante is being held, or where he's being captured in Salem. As they're in Salem, they're walking around Salem. They're in Boston, by the way. Is it Boston? Yeah, around Boston and Massachusetts, around them areas there. Boston, Massachusetts, Salem. As they advance and they've been docked now, so they start walking. As they're walking, people in the towns, remember, are not used to black people walking with less than that much clothes, and they start to mock them, throw stones at them as they're walking. But they continue walking, and people come up to them as they're walking. Obviously, you see the militia. The militia all of a sudden advancing them. Where are you going? Using vulgar language, this, that, the other, and obviously they don't say anything. They start trying to rope them and try to drag them across the floor, which their skin starts to blister, and they tie them up against trees. As they tie them against trees, they start burning cross. At this point, you know they're gonna try and hang them. So as they get ready to hang them, they look on Nana and Carmen. They look on each other, and they get with the beads. Like I said, with these beads, they have that thing, special power. So they splash one of the beads, and in their hands, it makes their hands dry and crusty and rusty. So what they do with the dry and crusty hands, they grab the ropes, and as they rub the ropes start to get smaller and smaller, until eventually they break free. As they break free, they advance around as the camp where these guys are getting ready to hang them. So what they do, they walk up to them from behind them, and now, remember I said some of these beads have special power. They spit, right? Because they put one of the beads into their tongue and it's smashed into blue potion, and they spit this blue potion all into their faces of some of the men there. They can't see. It's night now, so they can't really see them coming. But all I know is this water thing splashed into their eyes, and this burnt their eyes out, so they can't see anything. And then they proceed to get their guns and start shooting. They end up shooting each other. They're shooting each other. One of the bullets start flaying left, right, etc. They just gun down. They take in here. They can't see, and Nana and Kwame, they leave them there just shooting in thin air. And there was about 10 of them, but they just shoot down each other. So they get their bags and they get their beads. They pick themselves up, and they're still advancing towards there. As they're walking towards the town, into the village, the town, should I say, they get into the town and they meet this young woman. And this young woman, obviously she goes, you need to come inside because, you know, people might be looking for you and stuff. So she takes them inside, and she says, yeah, are you hungry? Do you want something to eat? They say no. At this point, obviously, even though they don't understand each other, they can kind of see that this woman's kind, young white woman, and she's kind, and she goes, you know, these things, yeah, like these people, you know, wouldn't like you, this, that, the other. She's very kind. She says to them, you know, end of the day, why are you here? At this point, they gave her one of the beads, and they start to proceed to tell her where and what have you seen, Bobby Ashante, have you seen him? And she says, yes, I've seen him. He's in the old mill with the Lesters down there. They have him down there. They have him working in the mill, and that's where he is. And it goes, how far? It's not too far. And they go, cool. And we're gonna go now. And she goes, no, don't go now. Stay here overnight and leave in the morning. But they said night time's probably best. We will leave now. So they leave. When they leave the house, someone sees them leaving the house. Someone sees them leaving the house, and they go back and tells one of the mayor. The mayor tells the priest and tells other people, and it starts getting around town that there's some strangers walking around town, and they need to find out who they are and what they come. So they advance as the Nana and Kwame, they leave. They're left. With an hour later, these people advance from this woman's house and asked her where the strangers come from. She said, I don't know what you're talking about. And they took the woman. They took the woman from my house, yeah, and they bring her to this place where it's, you know, where it's got fire and stuff like that, and they start calling her a witch. You say, you bring spirits and demons into our village, and therein lies the start of the Salem witch burning, and believing that she has brought doom to our village, because they do discover that that the other men are poisoned and can't see where they are, and they believe that she had something to do with it. Now, they end up burning this woman alive, yeah, and burning that woman, and people who know her, the other women who know her, who came to see her as well, they think they're witches as well, and later on they start burning them women, believing they're all witches. Anyways, Nani and Kwame, Alpha Omega, they follow themselves and they walk towards the mill where the Lesters are, and they get there, they're looking around, and this dog starts barking, comes up barking, starts trying to attack them. It bites Nana on the leg, and next thing the dog bites, he starts yelling, next thing the dog starts yawning, the dog starts falling asleep, and the dog dies, yeah. Then Kwame gives her a pill, one of his pills, and then the wound instantly heals, and like it was never there, like she never got bit. And now this night time, the Mr. Lester, what's his name again? Art Lester, the man, comes down with his gun or comes down with his little rifle. Who's out there? Who's out yonder? Who's out there? Come out. And after Mayfield, they ain't scared of no one now. They just standing there, standing with their bright colours and their beads right out the front in the yard. And then they at this point, Nana puts one of the beads in her mouth, and now she can speak English. They can speak English. Said, "Where is Bobby Ashante? We want our leader." And then they goes, "Where's no leader out here? There's only an old man here. There's only an old man here who works for us. Yeah, his name's Harvey something." They changed his name because that's him. Because you need to bring him out here right now. Because we ain't bringing no one out. Alright, we ain't bringing no one out here. And he starts to try to shoot them, load them up with bullets. And they move around now. Do you remember that I said they had shields, you know? So they start, this time they're shielding themselves now because they know that this is Ashanti is close and they want him. They want him obviously to find out who's going to be leader of their village, so they need to find out. So they start moving around the house. Lester shooting until he runs out of bullets. Then he comes out with a little axe, runs up, try to chop them. Now Kwame is skilled warrior. Now he could get hit by the axe. At this point he doesn't feel to, because he disarms Art Lester, puts him on the ground, ties him up. Doesn't get poisoned. No, doesn't poison him. Right? The kids run out. The kids and the wives, they all come out and say, Dad, whatever. As they know, Kwame, as Nana goes into the house and she finds Bobby Ashante, they're sleeping in the back, and also there's some other people, some other tribesmen sleeping in the back as well. And she says yes, and he's so happy to see her, where his eyes is just like, wow, he thought he'd be there for the rest of his life. And so And remember, he was only walking on the beach to clear his head, and next thing you know, he end up in another country. So then he hugs them, they hug him. When they hug, remember they have poisoned them. She goes, take this first before you hug, and he gives her obviously some antidote for the poison, and says, yes, we're ready to go. So obviously they pick him up, yeah, and she puts him on her back, very strong she is, and she carries him out. And then obviously Kwame sees him, and he comes and hug him. He gives him another pill. And then they just hug, man. They're so happy to see him. And they're happy to see him as Art sits there, and he's like, "Government, I know how much money I paid for him. How my money?" They're looking at him with shame as they walk out. They're walking back out through the village into Salem. As I say, like I said to you, all the villagers, they've all left. They're all burning bloody witches out there in the forest. So there's no one in the village, so it's completely empty. So as they're walking with Baba Shante, they get back to the dock, and one of the tribesmen they said was there. He was still there, loyal, waiting for them. And they said, okay, now we can go back home. And they get back onto the boat, and they sail the boat, turn the boat around, and the boat goes back to the coast of where they come. And as their journey, they just start talking. He starts talking to them and saying, I think I found an successor. Yeah, it will no longer be one person, it will be two. Alpha and Omega tribe will no longer be separate, they will become one, and you two will be the first. Yeah, Nana and Kwame, Alpha and Omega, you become one. You two will be married, and you two will be one leader, the king and queen of the tribe, of the new tribe. He tells them this, and which confused them, because they're used to one leader, and that's why he obviously from the lineage is always usually a man or a woman who usually leads. But this time he gives them unity. This is the first time in 1,000 years that the two tribes will be unified like that. Even though they marry one, but there's always one leader above the other. But this time they're two together, because he realized, yeah, how strong the bond is with the man and the woman, so they become one. So as they celebrate this, some people on the boat, they recover from the pills, and they look at them and think, didn't understand what's going on, and there's jealousy struck in of their bond and stuff like that. And one of them tries to grab them, and again, within 2 minutes of the grabbing, he falls down, and it starts to shocking, and and the rest of them, they realize that some of you people, and they tell them now, at this point they put the pills in their mouth and start talking in their languages, and say that some of you people should be ashamed of yourself. Yeah, you've been taken into a foreign land, but you still choose to attack each other and have hostility against one another. Yeah, when you should have been working together to get yourself free. All you want to do is tear each other down. Yeah, yes, this doesn't make no sense. Yeah, you get me? You've been took, and this is why people can come into your country and take you. Yeah, you're not one people, and then until you're one people, this will always happen. And that was the last words of they said. They sat down. Some of the guys in the tribe, and they sat down and they sat there, thought about it, and they were surprised that they could speak their language. But as I said, with these pills, it allows, these pills, the beads from their waist allows them to talk and understand different languages. So anyway, they get back to the shores. They get a boat, they lower it down, and everyone on the boat starts wheeling off back into Africa, or back into the lands of where they came from, and they thank them for freeing them, and they go back. People are so happy. There's they go back into their villages, and they learn to be more unified. Now Baba Shante and Alpha Omega, they obviously go back to the village, and people in the village so happy to see them, cheering, celebration. There's partying going on for 2 weeks. And Baba Shante sits down and tells them that obviously they're gonna be one. They're gonna be king and queen of the tribe, or you'll be one tribe, one nation together. And that's the story of Alpha Omega, Nana, Kwame, and Baba Shante. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I'll try and think of some other stories yet to come, but that story it should be adapted into a film, and shows you that you don't have to be violent towards people, but you have to be able to protect yourself in situations where other people is harming you, and then know thyself. Well, I'm EJ Boxer Live. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.